welcome to the show. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new review. If you didn't notice, it is the first Wednesday of the month, and that means, y'all, we are headed back to the crypt. It is time for more Tales from the Crypt. Now, tonight, we are not doing our typical double feature, and no, we are not doing a triple feature like we did a couple months ago either. Instead, tonight, we are going to do something unique, and we are looking at one sole episode. Now, I'm mostly doing this because I want you guys to go and check out the interview I just got done doing with Keith Coogan, who starred in the Tales from the Crypt episode House of Horrors. We got a chance to talk about some of the films that he was in, his experience doing remakes of some of those popular films, and of course, his interest in doing horror back in the day as well. It's a great interview I want you all to check out, but I thought combined with that, we're only going to do one episode tonight, and the one I have for you is a really fun one. Tonight, we are going to be talking the only Halloween episode across the entire Tales from the Crypt run, which seems kind of crazy when you say that out loud and what the scope of this show was, but yet and still, it is the truth. Tonight, we are talking Season 6's Only Skin Deep. Of course, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, no matter where you are tuning in to catch this review. We got a lot of great content up on the channel right now, a lot of great stuff coming up. Again, you can check out my Keith Coogan interview, and at the end of the episode, I'm going to let you know what I got coming up for all of you as well, too. But let's not waste any more time and jump right on into things here with Only Skin Deep. The story here focuses on Carl, a violent, hot-tempered man, goes to a Halloween party hosted by his ex-wife where he meets a mysterious but beautiful masked woman named Molly who needs more help than he does. Carl and Molly head back to her place where they make with the love before Carl starts to become clingy and Molly rebuffs his attempts at this affection. And there it is, y'all. That is Only Skin Deep. Now, this was an episode that I had a chance to catch on the Sci-Fi run back in 98 or 99. I don't think I've mentioned this here on my recaps of Tales from the Crypt this year thus far, but I am realizing that when I was going through and watching Tales from the Crypt episodes on the Sci-Fi channel, this actually would have been the first time that I got through the entire run of the show. Just because back in the early 90s, of course, I was catching an episode here or there on Fox. And yeah, I saw Demon Knight and Bordello of Blood when those two hit VHS before we get to this point in the late 90s when I'm watching it regularly. But this would have been the first time I was making it all the way through. And it just stands out because I have talked about on the show here for the longest time, I just thought Tales from the Crypt was about the Crypt Keeper and then other monsters, vampires, werewolves, ghosts, ghouls, goblins, whatever. That's what I primarily thought that the show was about. And that was leaving out so many great episodes about war and about serial killers and about mysteries. All these episodes they did so great with over the run of the show that I hadn't even considered because one, I hadn't seen them, and two, I didn't know that that was the show was about. But getting a chance to catch Only Skin Deep after finally having seen a number of popular slashers, including Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Scream, so many of these ones out there have me prepared to be open to other kinds of scares and terrors coming out of it. And that's just what this episode does so well. So it's just fun to think back that when I'm watching this episode, this is really me seeing the majority of Tales from the Crypt episodes for the very first time. But we can't keep going on without talking a little bit here about the Crypt Keeper. Now, we are here in season 6. There's only 7 seasons in the entire run of the show, and it's fun to go back and look at season 1 and season 7 and see the difference between the puppet we're using for the Crypt Keeper then in both of those seasons compared to seasons 2 through 6, because it's really about halfway through season 2 all the way up to the end of season 6 where we're getting the best combination of everything to do with the Crypt Keeper, whether it's the puppet, the lighting of the crypt itself, the way that the Crypt Keeper would do some kind of gag involving a costume or skeletons or other people being in the crypt. All these things very much started going upwards and getting better and better and better as we get through partway through the second season. And it's just kind of sad getting here to the end of season 6 and knowing where the franchise is ultimately going. That is not a knock against the British produced season season 7 of the show or even the movie Ritual, but you can clearly see that a lot of the budget is starting to get stripped away as we start to get to the end of this run here. So just something interesting that stands out here in Only Skin Deep. Crypt Keeper is playing a card dealer, whether it's poker or blackjack, whatever the case is. I think it's poker here, but makes some great gambling puns to go along with it here for this one, as well as at the end of the episode as well too. Kassir, it seems every other episode had some really good puns written for him. These are some of the better ones that are out there that will definitely bring out a laugh or two. And it's kind of nice having the Crypt Keeper just front and center there and not off to the side a little bit, with those eyes just staring right back at you. Definitely one of the better segments that we get across the entire run here of the show. As for the cast here in this one, Sherry Rose, who I have dubbed the Queen of the Crypt, as she has made the most appearances across Tales from the Crypt media when you count in the TV show and the movies as well too. This is her making her second appearance in the show after season 4 on a dead man's chest. Now, here in this one, she is playing Molly, the woman in the doll mask who takes Carl home, only to show him his just desserts a little bit later on here. What's so interesting about Sherry Rose doing this particular episode at this particular time, even though Only Skin Deep premiered in Halloween of 1994, Demon Knight premiered only a few months later in January of 1995. And that would mean that the shooting schedule for both Demon Knight and Only Skin Deep likely coincided, or they were at least back to back. So it's very reasonable to think that Sherry Rose either went from filming Demon Knight and then walked onto the set of Only Skin Deep, vice versa, or she was doing them both at the exact same time. And that's really, really cool just to think about the fact that, yeah, Billy Zane got to do an episode of Tales from the Crypt and got to do the movie as well, but these two things are separated as well. So just so much fun to get to see Sherry Rose get to go back and forth and really, really nail that sign in to show that she is all about the Crypt when it comes down to it. Peter Oronati, who plays Carl in this one, does a good job of being another despicable protagonist. Crypt is always best when we're not liking this protagonist and we don't want them to make it out alive at the end of the episode, because we always want to see that person get theirs, and believe it that Carl absolutely gets that, and very, very much shows why he deserves everything that he gets at the end of this episode as well too. Carl goes from being hot-tempered to being mild-mannered at a flip of a switch, and there are times in this episode to where he's putting on the blinders for you and making you think that, oh, well, you know what, all that other stuff we saw, that's not really Carl, that's not the way he is. And then no, Carl really is an abusive, terrible human being. He just has a good way of hiding that amongst a lot of people, which feeds right into his own storyline throughout Only Skin Deep as well. These are the things that we're seeing on the surface, but when you really look a little bit deeper, there's a lot more going on within. Again, it's basically a two-man cast here, and these two have great chemistry with each other, do a great job of playing this cat and mouse game as we get to the third act when we get into our twist. Now, speaking of, after being rebuffed by Molly, Carl starts to investigate Molly's place to try to find any kind of identifying information about her, as Molly won't reveal any more details about herself. This is when Carl stumbles upon a room that's filled with severed faces, and at this time demanding answers from Molly. He finds himself drugged and eventually killed, with Molly taking his face as the latest trophy for her room as well. Now again, this is a justified twist here. Sometimes the twist in Tales from the Crypt were a bit on the mean side and our protagonists didn't deserve everything that came to them here. But following along Carl's actions throughout this entire episode, he was digging his own grave the entire time. It's hard to say whether or not Molly would have ended up killing him had Carl not started getting overly affectionate and ultimately assaulting her towards the end of the episode itself. Like, it kind of actually seems that Molly felt like she was bonding with Carl in a good way and seeing again all the positive stuff and not the negatives that Carl has been trying to hide. So it's kind of easy to think that she might have actually let Carl off the hook here when it's all said and done. But again, Carl's dark side just couldn't let that pass, and he had to get himself in a little bit of trouble, and that led to his own death. It's interesting because when you think about the scares of this episode, Molly is actually one of the very few elements in this ep that is not scary in the least bit here. That mask, there is a lot of intrigue there with what's on her face. And as we find out, that is not a mask that she's wearing. That is actually a skin condition that she was born with that makes it look like she is wearing like a doll's mask, basically. And we see it in a bit of gross fashion as Carl tries to like rip the mask off her face and is digging into her skin. Ooh, it's like you can feel that when you watch that particular scene. But Molly herself, even with the Room of Severed Faces, doesn't come across as scary. She comes across more as some kind of vigilante. Again, watching Dexter Resurrection right now, kind of hard not to see a little bit of a shared kindred spirit here between like her and Dexter, or even to a certain extent like her and Lady Vengeance. And I know that's just the moniker the media gave Lady Vengeance, but either way, Molly is not actually a scary part of this episode. I do remember though, when I was younger, some of the imagery that Carl sees after Molly drugs him, and he starts seeing images of Molly's past victims as he's going through the house and eventually gets through the Room of Severed Faces. I remember that being terrifying to me as a kid, and it stayed in the back of my mind, just thinking about walking through my house and suddenly seeing a Room of Severed Faces in there. Yes, that is something I was actually fearful of as a kid. But with all of that there's enough scary imagery throughout it, and we know that we're setting up for the rug to be pulled out from under us as we make our way throughout this app. The first 2/3 of it don't really have any kind of hint of what's in store for Carl as we get to the end of it. But if you go back and watch those earlier scenes of Carl and Molly talking at the party, and Molly being a body bag as her costume, kind of giving a dead giveaway for what Carl Spate's ultimately going to be when everything is said and done, right? This is definitely one of my favorite Crypt episodes. A lot of it is due to nostalgia, but also I feel that it's an episode to where the villain gets a chance to shine more than our protagonist does. And it's a really, really good villain, honestly. I love Sherry Rose across the Tales from the Crypt media. I do think that this gives her a better chance to show off what she brings to the table a little bit more than what we got then on A Dead Man's Chest, and definitely more than what we got in Demon Knight. That being said, it's lacking a bit in action for a lot of you who come to this episode looking to be entertained throughout the entire runtime. I will say though, it does keep a feeling of the erotic thrillers that we had back in the 90s. We're talking your Basic Instincts, your Disclosures, films like that. You're going to be in good company here watching this episode. It just stinks that it's not a little bit longer. That's the issue with so many Tales from the Crypt episodes, is that you just want more and more and more when it's all done. But with that said, I currently have Only Skin Deep at number 10 in my Crypt rankings of episodes that I've watched here thus far. It hits the top 10 for sure. I don't know if it's going to end up sticking there as we get here into more and more episodes over the next couple of years, but I'm going to cross my fingers here for that one, that this has a chance to stay on. But we'll see. We'll ultimately see where this one ends up. That being said, though, yo, as always, I want to hear what you think of this episode. If you've seen this one there yourself, and your memories that you have associated there with it. Let me know about that in the comment section. And of course, get subscribed to my link tree, which you can do by going to linktr.ee/T scary movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, that's going to be access to the YouTube page for the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings through the year, my TikTok page for short horror content, including movie news, movie reviews, movie premieres, my Twitch page for horror gaming, including Phasmophobia, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button up on the channel right now. Again, I got my interview with Keith Coogan. I took a look at some films from Fright Fest 2025 that you want to check out. And I got reviews up there right now for The Toxic Avenger, and coming up soon for The Conjuring Last Rites. We're going to be talking that, Dexter Resurrection, Alien Earth, Fright Night, Street Trash. So much coming up that I do not want you all to miss. So make sure you are subscribing or following no matter where you are tuning in here, folks. Also, I got to know your horror movie count because I need to know where you're up to at this point. I am at 6 right now for the month. I have checked out Sinister 1. I've checked out Sinister 2, The Toxic Avenger, the original Toxic Avenger, The Conjuring Last Rites, Superhost, and mayhem. I am up to 6 right now. I want to hear what y'all are checking out. Definitely let me know about that one in the comment section. But that is going to do it for me here tonight, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.